WCG 2019 happening in Xi'an, and we're going to start it off with Clash Royale now. It's time, Paper Thin. Of course, my name is G Clef. With me, Paper Thin. Players have been playing on the backstage just a little bit. Finally, you get to see what they have in deck, what the kind of decks they have, what kind of decks and they're going to have in that final stage. This is the moment for them. Welcome to WCG 2019 with Clash Royale. Paper Thin. Get it going.
It's going to be very exciting, guys. We have 4 best of 3s, 1v1, some up-and-coming top talent from across the globe. You've got people from China, New Zealand, France, America, Argentina, all over the world coming here to compete today and prove that they're some of the best in the world. I can't wait to get it started, G-Club.
Yes, they have been through their national qualifiers, the regional qualifiers too, and then finally they're here. Top 2 from each region. We have 8 players. They're going to play all the way through the round robin, and then we're going to have top 4 going into that knockout stage, and then we'll have the top 2 going for that grand finals happening over 3 days. So it's going to be lots of packed action. We have a lot of Clash Royale, not just 1v1s here. We have teams coming for the Invitational too, so you can just select whichever one you want to watch and just get on going. It's going to be insane packed action. I'm excited because we didn't really get to see too many matches happening after the Fisherman patch. So we might have some changes, but I'm hearing it's going to be a lot of the similar decks coming out, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the overview, guys, of how this is going to work. Of course, this is Clash Royale. This is the group stage, so it's a round robin to begin with. Like I said, it's a best of 3. If you win, you get +3 points. If you lose, you get 0 points. So you want to be on the top of all of this to come out. Everybody's going to play each other once. The top player comes out, and then we get to see what's going to happen after that. Now, if they tie, it does come down to the tiebreaker is the first. It's a head-to-head matchup.
Yes.
So if, whoever played whoever and whoever won gets to go on. If there's like a 3-way tie.
I believe we do count the game wins.
Yes.
At that moment, and then game losses also after. So we're not going to have too many tiebreak situations. I don't think so, but the big prize pool coming down. I believe first place, 50,000 USD. That's a big prize pool going to that first place spot. So it seems like we're going to have some player introduction right now. For the stage, we're going to have JuicyJ from USA and Wenwenwen from China. First place from China and second place from USA.
Yeah, so these 2 players are both very strong. JuicyJ was very hyped to me by the Clash Royale West casters. They were saying that they really think this guy has a shot to possibly come out on top. Wenwenwen, of course, we saw perform very well at the Shanghai qualifiers. He loves to play Lava Hound, a little bit of Royal Giant in there as well. And we saw Minor Prince as well from him. So we're going to kind of be watching this. It seems like a lot of these players are going to like beatdown type decks, G-Clef.
Yes, seems like we're going to have some heavier decks. We might see some cycles going on, but we saw a lot of RGO, lots of lava, even some golems coming out, and of course within there some Sparkies coming out with the giant goblin giant. So we'll see what happens. There has been a major patch with some melee range change coming in as well. So we'll see what they are actually holding, because some for like European final qualifiers and the Americas, it's been like a month right since they actually played their final match. So they might actually bring in like total new decks coming off the stage.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're kind of hoping for. You love to see that in Clash Royale. With this newest patch as well, we're seeing a lot more Goblin Cage. So will we see that? I know that JuicyJ, he does like Goblin Giant Sparky a lot. He played it a lot in the qualifiers. Now, recently, we've been seeing the Hunter replaced with the Goblin Cage in that deck to be the kind of counter to the big heavy units that come through, like a P.E.K.K.A. or something like that, to distract those units as they come towards your tower. So we'll see if JuicyJ opts to go for that. He also likes to play Lava Hound and, like you said, Golem. Occasionally, he does play Expo from time to time, so we'll see if he maybe will revert to that kind of thing. He also likes the Royal Giant deck with the Ice Wizard and Tornado variant, so there's a lot of different decks that these players are capable of bringing today.
Yeah, perfect. Someone did his studies here on JuicyJ, of course, the next pro. Here, Wenwenwen, of course, doesn't really have too much on the screen, but still, first place from the Chinese qualifiers, and there are a lot of players from China trying to qualify from the nationals. Also, the regional finals happened in Shanghai just over like 3 weeks ago. So this guy certainly can play. Had 6-1 results out of all 8 players. So certainly qualified as the first place. And he seemed to be really dominant from the Chinese region. So let's see who's better. I think JuicyJ really got a good chance of coming in like top 3 spot by the end of the day. But we'll have to see. Like the talent from China is of course off the top.
Yeah, I mean, China definitely has been historically one of the strongest regions for Clash Royale. Will that continue here? They're often kind of innovators of the game when we watch their league over there. They are really coming up with unique and interesting stuff, but at the same time, they are very consistent. They are very good. But guys, we're going to get into the first game here between JuicyJ and Wenwenwen.
Let's get it going. Wenwenwen from China at the bottom. JuicyJ from USA on top.
All right, there right away. We got our question answered, G-Clef. It's Goblin Cage to start from both players.
And with that Goblin Cage, there are lots of cycle decks coming around right now too. So we'll see what that exactly is. They're starting off from JuicyJ, both dropping that lava. Pretty hot right now.
Yeah, the Lava Hound, very popular amongst all of these players. All of them are confident and consistently playing it from time to time. There's Inferno Dragons from both players. Are we going to see just a mere matchup here? The Baby Dragon being dropped by JuicyJ as those units try to get across, but the Inferno Dragon has locked onto the Lava Hound.
Yeah, before both Lava Hounds getting into the tower, Inferno Dragon just ready perfectly. It seems like we just have about as a mirror matchup. A few different cards just popping out. Mega Minion still coming down from JuicyJ. It's a bigger of a unit, and with that miner, have to defend. What else does Wenwenwen have to defend against this?
Okay, he's got the Barbarian Barrel, and he has to use a miner defensively here. So the Inferno Dragon does lock onto that miner, and that will allow Wenwenwen to clean up that Inferno Dragon. Does a little bit of extra damage, but not too much there.
Whole lot of more damage because guards, they were just leaded by the Baby Dragons, and Wenwenwen could not really use the guards to push in when JuicyJ also had Mega Minions to push in.
All right, looks like Wenwenwen wants to switch lanes here. Doesn't like the fact that he took way more damage in that first encounter between the two of them, so he's going to try to force the action on the other side now as JuicyJ got the best of him on that first one.
Yes, as you know, there's that Inferno Dragon to melt that lava down, and JuicyJ still on top of the lava, sitting on the tower, already locked down all the way on the bottom left.
Yeah, there wasn't any follow-up there for Wenwenwen on the right-hand side. Now we've got the miner, but good guard placement here by Wenwenwen. But still, that Lava Hound is decently healthy here for JuicyJ.
Yes, and even after that, it's just going to continue. Lava Hound still attacking on it. The pups are going to break away, and then still the damage is being done down to 519 on the bottom left now.
Yeah, Wenwenwen wanted to go for the right-hand side to see if he could create a more fair situation for himself, but JuicyJ with some excellent defense, able to handle this. Poison coming down here. We've got the Goblin onto the Goblin Cage here. They're going to beat each other up a little bit, but a little bit more damage this time for Wenwenwen.
Yeah, this time Wenwenwen does have to go onto the left, the miner, get the Brawler out onto the hands, taking some more damage. There's that poison to get all the guards down. The pups are doing some more damage, and this might not be enough with the poison, but with some more damage, I think JuicyJ is just going to finish that up.
Yeah, JuicyJ just needs to get a miner in here and get a hit or cycle into his poison. Gonna have to play some defense here. It looks like he's got plenty available so far. That Inferno Dragon is very distracted. The miner on the bottom right-hand corner, and there it goes. JuicyJ takes game number 1.
What a fascinating game coming down from JuicyJ, having that early lead, securing, because he was taking that lead by about 800, 900 HP from that first wave of lava attack. He's having such a good way of having that miner. I think Wenwenwen used the guards a little too early. He knew that miner was coming for his tower anyhow, but I think it was due to his first starting hand cycle.
And I think a big part of that was JuicyJ was able to get that Baby Dragon out early into the clump of units that Wenwenwen had coming across the bridge, and so that Baby Dragon got a lot of splash damage and a lot of value out of that situation.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to use the guards against a Baby Dragon, ooh, you're not really having your game at the moment. But lots of home crowd here, of course. We are at Xi'an, cheering for Wenwenwen, many of the audience, but JuicyJ, he's certainly showing up his power with that Goblin Cage and having some minor attack. Seems like we're going to see a lot of that card coming out in this tournament. Right now, Lava, one of the most popular cards. We're having Lava Flow, Lava Miner, Lava Balloon, you name it. It's everything combined with it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really interesting Lava Hound decks that are starting to crop up. A lot of interesting decks in general, but even I've seen on the Grand Challenge, I've seen people using Minion Horde minions with clone now, instead of the typical like Bats Guards kind of clone deck that we see with Lava. So I'm kind of curious if someone's going to bring something weird like that out. That's a really interesting deck that's kind of come into the meta because you know, a lot of times you're using Zap or Snowball, which doesn't eliminate the minions.
Yes, so if you're talking weird, I think we might actually see arrows coming out, because there were some arrow plays coming out, not just in Ladder, some Grand Challenge, because we're seeing a lot more Minion Horde and lots of Goblin Gang. It's sometimes worth it. Like having Zap, Snowball, of course Snowball did get that massive nerf from the radius, but still a very good card. But I think Arrow still worth it somewhat with that projectile speed buffed up. You can't really miss the target.
And especially with the popularity of the Lava Hound type decks, when they've got units like minions or bats or some other things that are coming in there. And of course, you know, when the Lava Hound splits up into the pups, you know, the arrows are a great counter to that. Just cleans that up right away. So yeah, definitely I think maybe we might see some arrows if they expect their opponent to go Lava Hound. We'll see here though if JuicyJ kind of sticks with what he's got. We see players do this a lot. They win a game, they'll just play the exact same deck again and say to your opponent, okay, you gotta beat me. You gotta beat me on my terms.
Yes, exactly. You can stick to your same deck or change it up. It doesn't matter if you're the winner from the last game or the loser. You can just do it whatsoever. Best of 3, so Wenwenwen has to come up clutch right now. Maybe he just felt, okay, I just had a bad start. I think I can try the same deck again. We'll just stick with the same deck, then try game number 2. But the winner might actually change it up and bring something heavier.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. Looks like we are going to get into the second game here between JuicyJ and Wenwenwen. I mean, the real question is, what is Wenwenwen's answer here? Because, you know, JuicyJ, he can definitely feel a little more comfortable staying with the same thing, but we see this a lot where players will run, even if they lose the same deck twice, because they think they can find a way to cycle differently and find a weakness in their opponent's play.
Yes, exactly. I think Wenwenwen's trying some different things with the cannon card coming out here. Against the Dark Prince, gotta defend something.
The cannon card's gaining a little bit of popularity recently because of the Goblin Cage. It's a pretty decent counter to it. So I've seen some decks that have the cannon card. Of course, there's the Royal Giant deck that Legend is very notorious for playing, but there's also a Golem variant that's kind of come back into popularity with the cannon card.
Yeah, exactly. The changes from the cannons, I think that's really affecting the cannon card too. For now, JuicyJ just pushing with Ice Wizard just gone. Mega Minion is trying to do its work now. Only the Baby Dragon, what else does he have in his hands? Seems like we're having a big push coming down from Wenwenwen.
Ooh, this is interesting. The Giant Skeleton coming out here for JuicyJ. So a bit of a curveball here, as that is a pretty healthy Baby Dragon. Now it will take the damage, the death damage from the Giant Skeleton and get cleaned up there. So only a couple hundred done to JuicyJ's Princess Tower there.
Yeah, with that E-Dragon, we're waiting for that Golem big time. I think both players are really looking towards to bring everything together with that tornado, but that area's damage did go into the tower with that charge.
Right, he did get that splash damage. Of course, a while ago, that Dark Prince got a buff that increased his splash damage. Now we've got the Ice Wiz to slow up this Golem here. Counter Baby Dragons being dropped, and there's tornadoes from both players here.
Exactly, as they were trying to time that perfectly, but not the Giant Skeleton tornado was already used, so has to just drop in hot. Will take some minor damage. Even the Baby Dragon is getting that damage into the Giant Skeleton and the tower together for 2 shots.
Yeah, that splash radius just big enough if a unit is directly next to a Princess Tower that the Baby Dragon will splash into the tower as well. So now we've got a Graveyard coming down here from JuicyJ. The Poison as well on top of it, but there is a cannon card there. Cannon card's pretty good at cleaning this up because that is a high rate of fire.
Yeah, got a couple hundred damage from those skeletons. Over the Golden broke up, but coming away from with the Lumberjack and the Barbarian Barrel, this one's going to be a little heavy. The Giant Skeleton trying to do its work. I think JuicyJ might actually need some more up on top here.
Whoa, that rage. He gets that Ice Wizard down just in time, and the Baby Dragon as well to keep those units off of his Princess Tower. Really nice reactions there from JuicyJ.
Yes, and he can't really get that perfect setup here, as Wenwenwen's trying to have his own Golden Push once again. Responded by the Giant Skeleton on top of the bridge, everything just pushing its way, but Lumberjack not getting to its target.
No, it's having a tough time finding its way around the Golem. Finally, it gets through, but this, having used the tornado here as JuicyJ, the Golem does get into the death damage there, so a nice tornado.
With everything in it, even the cannon card, with that, not in range into the tower, still Golemites will connect some minor damage, but here comes the counterattack with the Graveyard now. Dark Prince charging straight into the Golem, this time not the area damage. And the Barbarian Barrel against the Skeleton. This is doing a lot of damage right now.
Oh, this is so much damage here. Now we are within poison damage range, so JuicyJ just needs to play defense here and not lose his Princess Tower and find a way to get to that poison again, and it will be his game. Immediately, another golem dropped at the bridge. Really smart here by Wenwenwen to put the pressure on.
Yeah, he knows that he doesn't really have too much time. He's got to go right now. There's that rage from Lumberjack going in straight this time. This might be enough. There's another tornado. Golem straight marching into the tower. There's that poison. Will it be in time? There's that golem final punch into the tower, and we are tied up in the series.
What a savvy play there by Wenwenwen to immediately drop that golem at the bridge, continue the pressure, and put the screws to JuicyJ.
Well, he knew that he didn't have too much time. That's the perfect kind of play to make. And even using that tornado at the end, for both players, they were just trying to delay or have their attack a little faster. That was really close for JuicyJ too. Great graveyard with that giant skeleton, keeping his pressure on all the time. When got that final chance, he used it and bursted through into the tower. What a great game.
Yeah, it's really interesting matchup there because both players are kind of looking forward to the double elixir time to utilize the full potential of their decks. And so it's whoever can kind of find the way to get into there and get the most damage done at the end of it. And
yes,
what ends up happening is Wenwenwen gets that golem in cycle right away and is able to drop it again, and there's so much beef coming over that bridge. It's crazy.
Yeah, also both players trying to use the most out of that tornado.
Yeah.
And they both use it at the same time, and it doesn't quite work as well. As you're trying to get the golem death damage into all the units together. Also the bomb from the giant skeleton from JuicyJ. That was quite a matchup there. Let's see if they change into something else. We've seen lavas, we've seen golem, and the cannon cart with the graveyard onto the other side. I think they're just switching in and out, trying to get the best of what they have. So far, no RG here.
Yeah, no RG yet. It's probably going to be coming out eventually. I would think maybe this will be an opportunity. I don't mind the RG against golem decks. If you can get an early lead, if you can find a way to, put your opponent on the back foot very early on and get a substantial advantage going on. Because typically the golem deck, you're just kind of playing defense until double elixir time, until you can start getting those golems out with sufficient support behind them.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. Both players does have history with RG, of course, with a lot of other decks with some quick cycles coming out too, but Wenwenwen heavily relying on RG with the lightning before, of course, lava, some Prince Minor poison, of course, but certainly sticking to the meta decks. Just a few weeks ago into the regional finals for China, JuicyJ's got his hands here. I think just waiting for the final selection of the decks before we go into the game.
Yeah, I think maybe, JuicyJ might go back to the Lava Hound kind of thing. That wouldn't surprise me too much. Go back to what worked in game number 1. You're allowed in game number 2 after you win to try something a little funky. And the Giant Skeleton isn't really that meta. We're seeing it a little bit more and more as time goes on in 1v1s. But it hasn't been as popular as most of the other, brawling units.
Yes, and exactly as we called it. See that furnace? Let's see if he brings that RG back into the game. So far, just baby dragons each other, but the Mega Minion will help just a little bit.
All right, so it will be a Goblin Hut here for Wenwenwen. This is a very popular deck in China, assuming it is the Royal Giant variant, which it really seems to be. Feels that way. They use this Furnace Goblin Hut deck a lot. Yeah. The idea is to just, build up sufficient forces behind your Royal Giant that it makes it really challenging to deal with.
It was always challenging when there was no poison from the other side. And JuicyJ's got that poison going on for himself, of course, this time. Miner had to be placed defensively, but coming in hot later on, I think Wenwenwen might have some trouble keeping that Furnace or the Goblin Hunt alive for a long time. There's that RG now.
Yeah, okay, what is going to be his answer for the Inferno Dragon here? It'll get a couple shots. There's the lightning, and that'll reset the Inferno Dragon's beam. So we're going to get a couple extra shots. Great Goblin Cage placement there to turn the Royal Giant's attention away, though.
The Brawler actually connecting. If you let that go, it does a whole lot of damage.
Oh, no, and that Furnace placement, you can see Wenwenwen with a big sigh there because he wanted to get that Brawler turned away. That Brawler hit so hard.
It does. It does with the massive buff from the last patch. Yes, it does. And with that lightning, Wenwenwen thought he was okay against the Inferno Dragon, but that cage is going to make big differences coming out. JuicyJ having another big push with that lava coming in now.
But this is still very even. I mean, despite Wenwenwen with, maybe a little white in the right spot. So that Miner's going to get a few extra hits here for JuicyJ.
And not just that, JuicyJ is going to get massive value out from that poison, of course, the variants. Take some damage away from the pumps. Mega Minion gone, and the tower, it seems like it's going down really quick.
Yeah, Wenwenwen wasn't able to get that bar barrel down in time, so that is Princess Tower down for him. He's got to find a way to get through here. JuicyJ, does he have the Goblin Cage? Yes, he does. So that will distract the Royal Giant for just a little bit.
25 seconds right now, gathering some elixirs for possible lightning. But even with that lightning, RG's already gone. He's got to try something else. He's on the other side. Do you think he has time?
Yeah, Wenwenwen thinking that maybe JuicyJ doesn't have a good answer for mass amounts of Barbarians. No Fireball available here. Probably wanting to save the poison. The Goblin Cage does come down with the Barbarian Barrel, doing some extra damage, and that will be Barbarians cleaned up. And JuicyJ takes the game and the match.
Yes, Wenwenwen, the first place from China, does go down in this matchup. JuicyJ gets that plus 3 points himself. Let's see how well he keeps up his record here. It seems really solid with that Lava Goblin Cage deck right now.
Yeah, really feels like that's his comfort zone, and I think that's kind of what Wenwenwen did here as well, going into the Royal Giant Goblin Hut Furnace. When you're in that deciding game, you kind of want to fall into something that you're more comfortable with, that you really feel kind of safe playing, but here JuicyJ does take advantage of it and gets the win over Wenwenwen.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happens to a lot of the players. Of course, when you have that poison, it's not the best. You saw Goblin Hut not really being put down. Neither the Furnace, just to have it at the end in a hurry. You can't really have that too much, because the poison's just going to get value out of it all the time, damaging the tower. Eventually, you will be chipped down, but knowing that Wenwenwen thought, okay, I just have to push this with the RG, and even having to use that lightning, but the cage was a little hard.
Yeah, it becomes a weird situation when you're that Royal Giant player, because you want so desperately to get the Furnace down, get the Goblin Hut down, start building up that a massive amount of spam units behind your Royal Giant. But the poison is such a strong counter. Not only does it do exactly what you were talking about, damaging those buildings sufficiently that you kind of lose value, but it also damages the units as they come out of those buildings. So even if the Furnace is on the edge of a poison, the Fire Spirit still take enough damage that your Fire Spirit isn't going to make it to the Princess Tower and get that little extra damage sometimes.
Yeah, it's always tough, and the cage always, and you can just use it to push the RG out of the range from the tower. Is exactly how JuicyJ did to get that RG attack into the cage, so the brawler goes out even faster. So that's exactly, I think, why we're seeing a lot less RG coming out. And let's see how this actually goes on for the later part of the day, and see the meta, if we're going to see a lot more cages coming out, sticking with that lava, or some more RGs just happening from other players.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely seeing a shift in the RG meta. We're seeing a lot less of like the Furnace versions. I mean, they're still there, of course, but now you're seeing some other versions like the Ice Wizard Tornado variant.
The lighter version.
Yes. And then there's that Mega Knight variant that is basically spell bait behind the Mega Knight and the RG. So you're seeing some changes in the RG meta because people are adjusting to the fact that RG got so popular.
Yeah, that's exactly. We're seeing like 2.9 RG cycle, really chip cycles happening with like 3 spells happening, even with Tornado, Zap, Snowball, and all that. Even with some miners having 2 win conditions, I think that's something else that you do want to check out sometimes. If you just have one win conditions and you're stuck, RG not really doing damage to the tower, then you can't really deal with anything else if you don't have either. If you don't have something like the balloon, you're just stuck there, and unless you really cycle out, get that massive elixir advantage, you are going to be stuck, and eventually you will just be chipped against the miner or poison. You will lose the game. So that's why a lot of these decks are trying to have some secondary options to win the game. It really seemed like it, but Wenwenwen sticking with that RG, seems like we have to move out from the old meta right now.
Yeah, and I'll be really interesting to see if more RG players start drifting away from Lightning as well, because the fact that Inferno Tower took a big nerf. Inferno Tower has lost a lot of popularity. Now it's still there. It's not completely dead. It's still very versatile in some decks like Minor Prince and some others. Yeah. But because it isn't as popular now, maybe I think they might move away from Lightning.
Yep, seems like we have the highlight ready. Let's take a look into the highlight, and seems like we might be back with the next match. Let's see what happens.